Hey, welcome back. So I just want to try to, before we actually start creating the first sprint, I just want to give you a very brief, very simple overview of the stories that I actually created now. Of course, you could have a lot more than what I show right here. And I've estimated all of these stories actually, but I haven't detail planned a lot of them. It's only a few of them that I've actually gone and made task for. Most of these are just what I call rough estimates. It's just like update car that might take us about 10 hours, but I haven't added the minor tasks in there yet because I don't want to end up detail planning every feature in here. That's bad. You want to end up detail planning the features that you expect to do for the next sprint. Right? So you only want to detail plan features that are ready to be developed this moment in the next sprint. Those is the ones that your team should sit down, focus on, create tasks for, maybe poke a plan for each task to figure out how much time will the tasks take and stuff like that. But don't do it for all of your tasks on your backlog. That'll just be killing your implementation. You won't have time to do any real code. You'll just be planning, and we are talking more of a waterfall module than a agile model. So you want to actually figure out the ones that you feel are the most important ones, and those you want to go in and then plan in details. So if you and your product owner and your team figure out that these 6 top one here are the ones we want to work on, then you need to go into each one of them and then start detail planning them by adding tasks. I really encourage you to do this, but you can still go down here and say, but the product owner still wants to be notified how much, without detail planning, how much we expect the other features to take. So let's just take the update one. I have an expectation that this guy will take me about 10 hours. But it's just a rough estimate. I haven't detail planned it, so it might end up taking 20 hours, but at least I have an estimation of the task. So there's a difference between detail planning a user story and giving a rough estimate. And that's very important to understand. So these 6 ones should be detail planned before the sprint begins. So now you should sit down and take the stories that you're going to use for your first sprint and go so much into detail that you can almost hit the exact hours that you will require to complete the feature. Do that, and then in the next lesson we'll actually try to add it to the sprint. I want to add one more thing. I have these 2 user stories here which are not front-facing user stories. That means that it's not something that the customer will actually see. Initial setup of front end and initial setup of back end. That is pretty much just getting the Java application, your Swing application up and running. Just the main one. That is the initial setup for the front end. Getting your database set up, your SQL database or whatever you're using right now, get that up and running. That is the back end. And it's just setting up those environments so you can start using them. Maybe it's also SVN, Git, or whatever you're using to have a version control. There could be some things that's more of a technical nature you need to do. They still need to be registered somewhere, so the product owner knows where your time is actually being spent. But it's not a customer-facing feature. It's not something the customer should see or even hear about. It's not something you should tell the customer. It's just something that you need to do to actually get going on the real project.